Okay, and the examples that I'm going to use are going to be all expressed in percentage terms because that's the most common approach. So let me start. If you had bought Starbucks at the end of 2014, you would have paid $39.51. If you had then sold it a year later in 2015, you would have sold that stock at $58.62, right? A stock, remember, is a piece of a certificate that says that you are an owner of a portion of this company. All right, during that point in time, as the owner of this company, you would have also received during that year around 62 cents of a dollar in the form of dividends. So the question now is, what will be your return? What will be the benefits that you would have received out of your investment? So let me just provide a general view. Return, let me just go back. Okay. Return is going to be a function of two things, right? I'm going to buy it at a certain price, zero, piece of zero, the initial price, and then 1 year later or 2 years later, whatever that may be, I'm going to sell it at a different price, piece of one. So my return or the benefit of my investment is going to come from the difference in prices, right? I buy it at one price, sell it at the other. But what is the additional benefit that I'm going to receive from my investment? Not only the change in price, right? Not only the price at which I buy it and then I let it sell it after 1 year. I'm assuming that you're going to sell it after 1 year, okay? Not only that difference, but I'm also going to receive another benefit, the second benefit, which is dividend, okay? So what I want to know is what percentage are all these benefits? What do they represent as a percentage of my initial investment? What is my initial investment? Well, I had to buy the stock in the first place to get all these benefits. Therefore, my initial investment will be the price I paid at time zero, okay? So this return, this benefit, is going to be a function of, and I'm going to separate these two components mathematically. I'm going to separate the part where I get a benefit because I buy it at a lower price than I sell it, hopefully, right? And a second part, which is the benefit I get just because of the dividend payment, okay? This, by the way, is going to be called my capital gain, okay? In other words, the appreciation in the price of something that I buy or that I invest in. And this is by definition called the dividend yield. Yield as in yield to maturity, right? So yield is like a return or a benefit. It's the benefit that I get from the dividend only. All right. So let's find this return. My return, okay, is going to be equal to, let's start putting in the numbers. P1 minus P sub 0, right? What is P1? Is the end price, right? So I sell it at what? At $58.62, remember? Minus, what is my P sub 0? My P sub 0 is the price that I paid in order to acquire the stock. And I divide this so that the numerator is the difference, the gain, right, that I've obtained because of my investment. Just the price appreciation. That as a percentage of what I paid for in order to buy the stock. I've also obtained a dividend of 62 cents. And in order to get that benefit, again, you know, what it cost me was buying the stock at $31.51. So overall, my return, my compensation is going to come from two sources, right? The first source is going to be the capital gains component, which is 48.37%. In other words, during that year, compared to what I had to pay to get the stock, I actually received as a benefit a dollar difference such that it, you know, almost $20 difference, right? That it was like 48% of my investment. So that's this, by the way, in 1 year. So imagine me saying, if you invest in a certain project, you will get 48% return. That means if you invest $100, that first year you will get an additional of $48.37. Right? That will be a benefit for you beyond what your initial investment was. That's not bad at all. For the dividend yield side, we get 1.57% return. Okay. So therefore, if you had invested in the stock, you would have earned in 1 year around 49.94%. This is the return, and we call this a realized return. Realized return, just because this is something that you actually made happen. This is not an expected value. This is a value that, you know, if you had bought it at this at the end of 2014 and sold it at the end of 2015, you would have obtained you would have realized a return of $49.94%. Of course, in order to realize the return, you have to buy and sell. You can't just say, I'm just going to keep it anyways. Well, in that case, then it's, yeah, it is your return, but it's not a realized yet until you actually sell the stock and get the cash. Okay, that's a realized return. What is an example of an expected return? Suppose that in LinkedIn at the end of 2015, before it was bought by Microsoft, suppose you bought the share of LinkedIn, and that share would have cost you $225.80. Now, suppose that you're expecting to sell this share at the end of 2016. So here you were at the end of 2015, you bought the share of LinkedIn, and now you're saying, I'm going to keep it for a year and sell it. Now the question is, what return do you expect to receive? Now notice that expect is, now it's a different story, isn't it? Now you're talking about what return you don't know yet, because it's still, the selling is still a year away. But you know, can you make an educated guess about what the return might be? So you kind of crunch your numbers and say, look, if everything goes really well for this company by the end of 2016, in an optimistic scenario, I would say that the price will go up to $280 per share. If things sort of remain as they are, nothing good, nothing bad happens, then I expect the share price to be around $254 at the end of 2016, because there's going to be some growth, but nothing extraordinary on the positive or on the negative. Now, on the pessimistic side, you say, well, if things don't go very well, if some projects that the market that the company is expecting to invest in don't pan out, they don't do very well, or some expansions don't work, some synergies don't come out, then, you know, if that, under that pessimistic scenario, then things will go downhill, and so the price at the end of 2016 would be $202, right? So the question, of course, is, in order to find the return, what do you need? You need, remember, you need, and there are no dividends right now, okay? Let's assume that to make it simple. So remember that your return is going to be a function of the end price minus the beginning price, right? Divided by the beginning price. There's always, of course, the dividend, but we just said the dividend was not present now. So we have P sub 0, right? This is known, 225. The question is, what is P sub 1? What is the expected price at the end of 2016? So one thing we can do is generate some sort of expectation, right? So the expected price, okay, at the end of 2016 would be, we don't know yet. So what we can do is say, okay, I'm going to assign equal weights, equal probabilities to the firm doing really well, or average, or negatively, right? So I'm going to just, since I don't know, I'm just going to find the average of the three scenarios. So I'm going to assign the same importance or probability of occurrence to those three scenarios. So how do we do that? We just take the 280, right? Add the $254 and add the 202 and divide this by 3. Okay? And if you do that, you'll get a price of $245.33. Now, let me explain this a second. Dividing by 3 means that you're assigning equal weights to each price, to each scenario. So it's like saying there's a 33% chance that the price at the end of 1 year will become 280. There's a 33% chance that it will become 254. And there's a 33% chance that it will come out to $202, right? This is how we get the 245.33. Now this is because I'm making it simple here, right? But you could say, for example, no, I don't believe that there's a 33% chance that there'll be things go very well. I'm very positive about this company. So instead of assigning a 33% weight, you could say I'm going to assign, say, a 50% weight, or you know, an 80% weight, and the rest will have. If I assign 80% weight or probability that the firm will do really well and will be at $280 at the end of the year, then the others will be at 10 and 10, or I don't know, 15 and 5, you know, whatever adds up to, of course, 100% probability. So you can certainly change these weights. All I'm saying is that I find all of these scenarios equally probable, so I'm assigning. So when you divide something by the number of observations, so when you divide these three numbers by 3, all you're saying is that they have equal weights. If you don't want them to have equal weights, then you have to, you know, express that as I'm doing here and change, you know, these numbers, right? In my case, I'm leaving it like that. I'm leaving each one with equal weights, and so my expected price is $245. So what is my expected return? My expected return, notice this is expected because I'm just making assumptions about what can happen to the company a year from now. My expected return would be just P1. What is P1? I expect it to be $245.33. Initial price is $225.80, right? This one right here. Divided by, remember, by P sub 0, which is $225.80. So my expected return, if things go the way I expect them to go, will be 8.65%. Okay, so if things go as I assume they will, I should be expecting a return, a compensation of 8.65%. How do you interpret the 8.65%? In order to buy this company, to acquire these benefits, you have to pay a price of $225.80. So during the first year, being the owner of this company, right, and then selling it, means that you would have, that process will give you a return, a compensation, right, a benefit of 8.65% of what you invested. Okay, that's what it means. Okay. Of course, what really happened, by the way, was that Microsoft bought LinkedIn at $196 at the end of 2016. So it would not have gone very well for any investor who had bought the stock at $225 and then at the end, 1 year later, would have only bought it at $196. In that case, what would have happened? It would have been that this would be 196. Let me change this a bit. Be $196. Not good news. You would have sold it at a price lower than what you bought it, so your return would have been negative. You would not be a happy investor.